There are two things, I think, that would constitute a solution. Number one, there should be a mobilization of more local resources in the various communities to help attack the problems of poverty. And obviously, number two would be a recognition on the part of the congressmen in Washington that there are particular needs that are not being met.
It would seem that the money you do have available might be dependent upon the mood of the taxpayer to pay for a program such as yours. How do you propose to make the individual taxpayer more aware of the positive things that community action programs are doing?
The observations that I make in dealing with people regarding interest and continued support and additional support of the program is to recognize the need of each individual being a citizen that should have equal opportunity in the community, by a person or a family becoming self-sustaining, then they can become taxpayers and better participants of every activity in the community in which they reside.
There are struggles growing between various branches of the government and the broadcasting media. I could cite the CBS situation, but there are many others as well. Can you offer any assurance either to us as broadcasters or to the people who are sitting at home that there will never at any time be any really strident struggle within the FCC to put down the broadcasting media for having tackled the government, as it were?
I think, speaking for the FCC, and I've been there 18 years, I've served with some 27 commissioners, I've never detected an attitude of reprisal, and I hope I never would. And certainly I wouldn't respect a broadcaster who didn't stand up for his rights in every respect, whether it be the government or anyone else.
Clayton, you looking forward to meeting the Aggies again Saturday night?
Yeah, sure am. On our home court, I hope the outcome will be a lot different.
It was a rugged game down there at College Station, right?
Right. They got a tremendous team, highly physical, and a bunch of strong postmen. Really, I'm looking forward to it. This is the one that we need real bad, real bad.
Can you apply the adjective or noun that they give you of animal to this game and go get them then?
I'm just going to get in and hustle and give them 100% like I always do. The first 5 are tremendous, and I just feel privileged to be playing behind them. And I have to give them 100% to keep my 6th position because we got a lot of good players out here.
Well, it'll be a rugged game. As I've said before, the Aggies are undoubtedly the toughest basketball team physically that we've faced any time this year, inside the conference or outside the conference, so it'll be tough.
How did you play against them at College Station?
I played pretty poor, actually. I started off real hot. I think I hit my first 4 shots and then missed 5 or 6 in a row and rebounded real poorly, so it's going to take a lot better effort on my part for us to, well, not for us to win, but I think it would help if I did a little better job this time around.
Prior to the, of course, after the Aggie game, then Coach Pruitt installed the 3 guards and put Zach in. Do you think this will help you in this game?
Oh, I definitely think it'll help us. We're going to be smaller, but we've played much better basketball with this system, and it'll give them, of course, a new look, and I think, you know, that it will help us definitely. We've played much better with the 3-guard offense.
Well, I tell you, Jerry, our big men are playing great ball, and George Johnson's our center. He's coming around, getting his confidence, and Richard's been moving back and forth. We've got quite a bit of momentum going, and the schedule is in our favor. So, without being too optimistic about it, I think we should do pretty well.
Would you rather finish, say, in a solid third and make a run for the playoffs than be in a position perhaps where the Stars are or other clubs and maybe a little over optimistic?
Right. That always becomes a problem with a team that's, has a lead in any division. But the way we're going right now, I think it's good mentally for the ball players and everything. So I like the way things are going right now, Jerry.
How about Don Freeman personally? You're hitting some mighty good baskets.
Well, I'm hitting the baskets for two reasons. One is because I'm working hard to get open, and the second reason is the forwards. They're really hitting me when I do get a step on my man. So if it hadn't been for the forwards who are, getting most of the assists, I would think, I'd probably be averaging a lot less than I am now.
As in college ball, is it tougher to hit on the road in professional basketball?
It depends on, most of the time it is, Jerry, but when you go into cities like Indiana and Salt Lake City, for example, people affect me quite a bit. By that I mean mentally, they get me up for the game, and I usually have pretty good games in cities like this.
Now the parties.
Some people say diversity is a spice of life, but this auditorium is filled with clergymen and laymen who seem to think unity can solve a lot of problems. Today, the Dallas Consultation on Church Union is holding its first in a series of meetings to try and hammer out a plan of union, a plan designed to create a new universal church. One of the speakers tonight is Dr. Frank Mabee, who is pastor of the Midway Hills Christian Church. Dr. Mabee, do you think that unity in religions is a realistic goal?
I think that ultimately the church will find its unity and answer the prayer of its Lord, but I think what we're dealing here today is some very organic unity, that the church will find new structures, or a segment of the church. I think that'll have to come about first before a universal unity will be achieved.
Do you think that these people here can work out any plan of union that's feasible?
Yes, I'm very hopeful that in the next few years, through this process in which we'll use clergy, laity, what will be taking place this week in Dallas, and each Thursday night, the next 3 Thursday nights, will be to bring people together to share the difference, their ideas, their attitudes about the unity of the church. And this will all be brought back together and then brought to the church again, and this will be a process and not a final plan of any kind.
This whole unity movement started back in 1960, and some people say if unity can be achieved at all, it won't be until 1980. That's a long time, and, well, we'll see. This is Martha McIntire, Channel 8 News on the Move.
Carswell's 7th Bomb Wing is composed of B-52s, and some of those planes are due for rotation to Vietnam. From there on, it's all speculation. I've been given reason to believe that some planes and crews have already departed for the Western Pacific, probably Guam or Utapao, Thailand, and that others will follow. The next wave, contrary to some published reports, will probably not leave today, but later, maybe this weekend or early next week. Informants at Strategic Air Command headquarters in Nebraska tell me that there are most likely a variety of reasons for the air buildup. First, and probably least valid, is the so-called Tet Offensive. Informed sources believe that Air Force strength currently in Southeast Asia is sufficient to take care of expected enemy pushes. Another reason would be the published one, that increased air support will be used to cover U.S. ground force withdrawal. But among those who know, the reasoning is that President Nixon's trip across the Pacific in March is reason enough for beefing up our forces as much as possible. A sort of show of strength to the North Vietnamese and Red Chinese. At this point, though, the only thing that's certain is that a number of officers and men at Carswell Air Force Base have received orders in the last week assigning them to the Western Pacific for a 6-month tour of duty. For Channel 8 News on the Move, I'm Jay Lewis in Fort Worth.
News reporters from all over the state got the opportunity to get a little better acquainted today in Abilene's Taylor County Courthouse foyer. Judge J. Neil Daniels' 104th District Courtroom, site of Speaker Gus Mutcher's pretrial hearing, remained closed to most of the members of the press throughout the morning. Certain newsmen were invited in after a brief recess to locate them. Robert Hurd, an Associated Press reporter, along with 3 other Austin writers who'd been subpoenaed to appear, was sworn in and put on the stand in the closed courtroom. Hurd was questioned because of an AP story he wrote last September, saying that Mutcher would be indicted by the Austin grand jury 3 weeks before it did in fact happen. Defense attorneys are supposedly trying to learn the reporter's source of information. The other writers, Glenn Castleberry, Don Fisher, and George Kemple, were also questioned one by one for similar reasons. Judge Daniels is determined to maintain tight control over his courtroom. There are several strictly enforced rules, such as no cameras in the courthouse at all, no entering or leaving while court is in session, and a dress code. I was about to be sent home to change into the required ladies' skirt when I rolled up my pants legs under my coat. Court recessed for lunch, but none of those who were inside the courtroom were permitted to talk to reporters. For Channel 8 News on the Move, this is Judy Hanna in Abilene.